Hello, welcome to another Flywheel Films video. My name is Austin and today we are working with the GX once again. We're going to be installing the famous Napa Awning. Now if you have access to the internet and are at all interested in overlanding, you've probably seen pictures of this awning or heard of it. In the spirit of choosing experiences over name brands, I'm going to throw this on the GX before my wife and I head to Colorado. In this video, we're gonna do a quick install tutorial, and then I'll also be reviewing it for you once we get out to Colorado. So for the install of a Napa awning, fairly straightforward. Napa actually includes everything you need to install with it. You have, of course, your awning, some L brackets and some backing plates, and some bolts. You also have a little pouch that contains some stakes and some guy lines for when the awning is deployed. As far as the install itself, I'm gonna go for just drilling into my OEM crossbars. I don't have an aftermarket rack on it yet, so I'm gonna utilize this hardware and I'll show you what I do. A little bit of research, I found that some people, actually most people who have a factory roof rack on their GX470 will clamp the awning down to the side post here. That to me didn't look the most secure and it sticks up quite a bit. So I saw one person who actually drilled through their OEM crossbar, and that allows for a little bit more of a secure mount in my opinion, and also is a little bit more streamlined to the roof. So our plan is to hold the brackets up here, mark our drill spots, and then drill through the rack, and then mount it to where the awning is basically flush with the roof rack. A more keen-eyed viewer may have noticed that I've already completed the front mounting. This is the rear side, so I've already done it once. Have a little bit better idea of what to do here. That green bar of tape is marked for the end of the bracket, so I have a reference point. We got that doing a test fit. You'll see that footage here in a second. And then I just took a Sharpie and marked on the masking tape where to start drilling the holes. In order to make the drilling a little bit easier, a friend of mine recommended using a punch to create a little divot for the drill bit to sit. I don't own a punch, so I used a hammer and a small nail, and it worked super well. Would definitely recommend doing this step. So here we're doing a quick test fit. We have the front bracket mounted up. I did a great job filming this out of frame. I have the rear bracket, and I'm just trying to make sure that they are on the same plane. That way the awning sits how I want whenever it is fully attached. So now you can see we are drilling the holes here. I just used a larger drill bit to get this section knocked out. The extra set of hands you see here, my buddy was just helping me keep the drill bit nice and perpendicular to the crossbar. It was really great to have an extra set of hands throughout this whole project, so I definitely recommend taking it on with somebody else, but you can do it solo. As you can see below the crossbar, I have a cardboard box that's just folded up to act as kind of a buffer so I don't drill into my roof. It worked for me, but I would definitely not recommend it. I'd recommend using something a little bit more substantial. I did have what seemed like a few close calls, but I didn't have any holes in my roof after this, so it worked out, but I would highly recommend using a piece of wood or something like that. So I opted to put the L bracket on the lower side of the crossbar for a few reasons. The first one being just where the awning would sit. It was really nice and streamlined with the roof rack with this setup compared to either clamping the brackets around the sidebars or putting the L bracket on top. And the wind noise is really low and it still fits in my garage. So these are all things that kind of went into where I place the brackets. Don't forget to put your backing plate on top there. That makes for just a little bit more structurally sound mount. And then yeah, I just took these two bolts and screwed them in with the nuts on the bottom. I ended up adding a rubber spacer to the bolt closest to the center of the car just to have a little bit of isolation and get the bracket to be a little bit more perpendicular. Here's a few pictures of it. I plan on actually adding in some additional spacers to make the brackets as perpendicular as I can with the kind of curvature of the crossbar. But so far this mount has worked super well. I've already put a few thousand miles of the awning on the GX the whole time, and it's super solid still. So it worked really well, but I think I could optimize it just a little bit. So here we are doing the final test fit. To our surprise, it was pretty much perfect. So we didn't have to make any adjustments to the brackets. They lined up super well. Now I didn't capture us actually putting the hardware on the awning, but you basically just slide the head of the bolts of 4 bolts, 2 in the top and 2 in the lower track, and then put it through the holes on the L bracket and then put the nuts on the back. We were actually headed to Colorado the following morning, so we were in a little bit of a rush to get the awning thrown on. As far as awning setup goes, I just wanted to get a quick kind of time lapse of what that looks like. It's incredibly straightforward. There are 3 Velcro straps that keep the awning secured to the mount. You basically just unroll it. So there are 2 legs on the outer bar, and then there's a few poles that are also kind of attached to the mounting area. Quick note, all 4 of these poles are twist to lock, and you'll notice in this video we did not lock the poles attached to the mount, so they kind of came out on us a few times. So be careful with those, just make sure you twist them. Outside of that, the setup is incredibly straightforward, definitely doable with 1 person, but I would recommend 2 just for ease of use. You have some nice little Velcro straps on the outside as well to keep the awning taut. The awning is an 8-foot awning and it extends out 8 feet, so you have 16 square feet of shaded space. And mounted on the GX, I am not lifted at all, and I still have tons of headroom. My friend and I are both right about 6 feet tall, and you can tell we're walking around there really easily. As you can tell behind me, we are in colorful Colorado. My wife and I just got done with a multi-day camping trip, overlanding trip, and we got to use the famous Napa awning. My initial thoughts are it is pretty easy to set up and tear down for this type of awning, and we didn't have any wind or rain, so unfortunately I can't report back on how it does in those circumstances, but for providing shade while camping, phenomenal. I would absolutely recommend it, especially for the price. Road tripping out here from Arkansas to Colorado, the way I have it mounted, I didn't notice any wind noise, which was phenomenal. I was expecting to have at least a little bit, but I think that goes to show that going for a little bit more of a streamlined mount is worth it. Would I recommend buying the Napa awning for your vehicle? Absolutely. I think for the price, it doesn't get a whole lot better for this type of awning. I do have plans in the future to get a 270-degree awning. That way the back hatch can be covered while I am back there and it's open. But for the time being, I could not be happier with this awning. If you are at all considering getting one for your vehicle, definitely pick this one up.